Minutes, people will pop in here. Oh. But what is up, fellas? It's been a crazy day, obviously, on the social medias.
Yeah.
Non-stop all day.
Didn't really expect to get that much reaction. I expected a little bit, but I didn't expect that much. So, Tim, you take it from the top because, you know, you were kind of the first one to find out about this ban, and we discussed it yesterday. That's when we ultimately decided to do what we did. So go for it, man.
Yeah. So we just wanted to come on here and shed some light. You know, obviously sometimes making a post could be misunderstood rather than talking to people face to face.
Yeah.
And so we just want to give people a little bit of why and what kind of happened. I'll do a little short version and then I'll let Luke get into some other details of this. He's very, very knowledgeable on all this. So we did the round robin, and then Sunday, it's late Saturday night, the wee hours of the morning, into Sunday, I wake up with multiple calls and text messages from people from Norway, Sweden, Latvia, some other places saying, "Hey."
Can you elaborate on the names that who did call, please?
I don't want to get into. I don't want this to be a. The people that are part of the federation called me.
Yeah. I got you.
The higher ups of these countries, and mainly from the people that I had at my event. And the people that are part of the federation of those companies, those countries, which ultimately that's how this is all transpired. What I was told was, if you are going to allow banned athletes at your event, we will no longer be able to have our countrymen come to your event. I said, who's banned? What's going on?
Yeah.
They said, Arson got a 2-year ban back in 2022. I said, I had no idea. Is there a ban list? He said, yes, it's right on this website. He sent me 2 links because I couldn't find it. So I had to go find these links. And that's when we saw arson. I said, okay, won't happen again. I'm super sorry. Like, I had no idea. I've never had to known before. This is all came about. And they said, we understand that, consider this as your warning. Now that you know, going forward is what you choose to do with it. If you choose to have this person at your event, you are now most likely going to be banned because now you have been warned. And I said, well, that makes sense. So I reached out to you because we did a collab together. And I said, hey, this is what's going on. I sent you all my information. And I said, ultimately, your promotion is what you do with your promotion. I just wanted to give you every bit of facts possible to not have this happen to anybody because, again, it's such a small community and we want the best for us. And America's already hard to try to build up the sport. And so that's what we wanted. And so that's when all these posts been made. And I just want people to know that it's not, oh, we're not a sanctioned event or we're not a tested event. It shouldn't matter. That's not the point here. The point here is this gentleman went to one of those events, chose to go to one of those events, and failed a test at one of those events. And WADA tests everybody around the world. And so it's no different if you chose to drink a bunch of whiskey and get in your car and drive and say, and you get pulled over and you get a DUI and say, well, my friend drives drunk all the time, so why is it not a problem? It's not how it works, guys. It's
Hey,
go ahead.
Go ahead. I got a comment that we'll address here in just a minute.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, it's just a comment in the YouTube. Cody says, are we going to also honor the ban list for athletes who are banned due to IFA affiliation?
This has nothing to do with that. This is not. This is what people need to understand. This isn't IFA. This isn't WAF. This is WADA. WADA tests IFA. WADA tests WAF. WADA tests the Olympic athletes. You know, it's
Yeah.
no
Correct.
different
They
if you go
also
to
do for NFL,
yeah.
MLB, and NBA.
This is no
Yeah,
different if you went to the Olympics and you failed a test at Olympics and you got banned from the Olympics. You can't come to America and go to UCLA and participate in track and field.
Correct.
I think it might help, guys, if people could understand there's a difference between a banned athlete. A banned athlete insinuates that they are banned from competing somewhere because of affiliation. This is a suspended athlete.
Correct.
Correct.
It is a different thing, and I think that got lost in communication with so many things that I read today that got lost. But he's a suspended athlete. It is a different thing than banned. He's not banned. He's suspended.
Yeah.
And suspension means that he can't pull in any tested event or any untested event because he has been suspended from arm wrestling in a whole, not just for those events and that's it. He is suspended from arm wrestling completely for 2 years. He cannot even be held at a practice.
Correct.
He's not allowed to have any videos or pictures of him on a table, around a table, or any other.
And that's what people need to know as well. Like, it's not just like he's not allowed to go to an event. He's not allowed to go to a practice. He's not allowed to do anything. And just for, I'm going to give an example, but again, I'm not going to get names because it's none of our business. We do
Right.
have one athlete in North America. There's a reason why you haven't seen him. He's following the rules. He doesn't go to practice. He doesn't do nothing. He's taking his suspension. He's owning it, and he'll be back. That's just part of life. You choose to either follow the right path or you choose to try to sneak under the radar and skimp it. And that's where us as promoters, I think we agreed on. We want to do the right things, even though we don't have a tested events besides national. We still follow the rules for people who choose to go to these higher level events, as in nationals and worlds, because we want them to be a part of our events to make our events better.
Yes. One thing I'll say is, when bringing up the IFA WAF ban, right? There's a reason why we're being contacted to say, hey, if you let a banned or suspended pull or compete at your event, there will be repercussions. But I haven't got any of those messages when in pertaining to the IFA WAF ban. That's not an issue.
And you won't because that's only for worlds.
Correct.
It's that we're just talking about suspensions here from WADA because there's a difference between banned and competing at an event or competing at the world event. From what I've been told, nothing really matters unless they step foot at a world event. That's when these promotions collapse. So that's regardless of here, because both of those, at the end of the day, both of those get tested by WADA. So we're talking about all promotions here because both of those main promotions are tested by WADA.
Yeah, it's like, sure, the WAFIF drama is going on, right? But they both agree on what we're talking about right now with the suspension.
Correct.
And that doesn't happen in promotions. And when you get those two people and those two organizations to agree on it, you can kind of look at it and be like, well, I mean, come on, that's a no-brainer, right?
To the point that let's just say that Tim goes and competes at WAF this year and fails the drug test and becomes a suspended athlete.
Yeah.
He will not be allowed to compete at IFA next year.
Right.
Correct.
Right. One has nothing to do with the other. And is it okay if I jump in for a minute, Tim? Because our company's showing up.
Yeah,
so I've only got a couple of minutes here.
You got a couple of minutes. You take the field until you're ready to go.
Okay. So just Tim and I visited off and on today, and I visited with Lorraine earlier today and helped just understand what the rule was. Not an agreement to it, not a disagreement to it. Just here's what it is. And in reading way more comments than I wanted to today, because you get sucked down the rabbit hole and it's like, oh my God. I think that there's just a misunderstanding out there of really the difference between banned and suspended, and that whether an event is tested or not has zero relevance. whether other people use or don't use is not relevant to the question at hand. And I've been in the sport for 25 years now. I've paid attention to this aspect of the sport for probably 20 years. And I don't know of a major promotion on the planet that doesn't adhere to the WADA suspensions. I don't know of one of them. If there is one, I'm sure somebody will let me know and say, "Oh, you're full of shit. This guy lets people compete all the time." Well, I'm willing to bet it's not one of the major promoters out there. I know over the years, USAA, obviously USAF, UAL, AAA, the major promoters in the US for the last 3 decades have always adhered to a WADA suspension,
Yeah.
as with every other country. I've heard East versus West get brought up several times, or Red brought up several times. Well, everybody there is, and why don't they have to? And I would bet money Engen is not going to let a suspended athlete on the stage at East versus West. What people are doing that are not suspended really isn't the question. Is it hypocritical? Maybe. Don't know. Really don't care, because it's not the rule. It's just simply
So
this.
funny.
This is the stated rule that the international arm wrestling community has decided to follow and adhere to, and that's what you do. And like I made a comment either on Arm Sports or one of the Ray's posts today, or maybe both, that somebody had posted, well, it says right here that you don't actually have to follow this rule if you don't want to. And I'm gonna throw out there that maybe that's even true. But the simple fact that you're going above and beyond what maybe is the bare minimum, that only speaks to professionalism and excellence, right? We don't have to go to the lowest common denominator. We can actually do things better. We can hold things to a higher standard and those things in the sport. And then most of the American arm wrestlers really don't have a grasp of what arm wrestling is like in other countries. And so there's a few things there. We talk about the IFA and the WAF bans, and well, why don't these athletes just stand up? Well, that's not how it works in those countries. One, they may be getting government subsidy and getting paid to be on the team, or paid to train, or provided coaches, or all these things. All that goes away if they walk away from their government organization. And the fact that we're not a major sport in the US is 100% correct. But this is a major sport in a lot of other countries. And just because we're not there doesn't mean we can't begin to hold ourselves to those same standards that the rest of the world is following in hopes to get there.
Yes.
I mean, the fact of, piss on the rest of the world and we're not going to listen to anybody, and we're Americans and we're going to do our own thing and to hell with them, is a phenomenal attitude to have if you want to keep this a little bitty barroom sport.
Yeah.
If you
that
want to
to
see
Krista.
something other than that, then maybe we put on our big boy pants and go, yeah, it's a hobby here, but man, there's a couple of people in the US that are starting to maybe make some money and be able to look at this as a real opportunity in life. And there's certainly that opportunity in other parts of the world. I mean, 6-7 years ago, I probably don't have the time frame right. There's a deal in the world called Sport Accord, and in order to be a part of Sport Accord, all the countries associated with WAF had to sign and pay a fee to be a part of Sport Accord. The United States and Canada had zero, less than zero benefit from being part of Sport Accord. But if we didn't join Sport Accord, WAF could not be part of Sport Accord. And Sport Accord, by being recognized by that organization in the world, brought a lot of money into the sport in these other countries. So the board of Canadian arm wrestling and the board of American arm wrestling decided that even though there's no benefit for us here, it's a huge benefit for the sport, and they joined Sport Accord. That's looking at the bigger picture. And we don't always do a bigger or a very good job of that. I'm guilty of that sometimes too, of not looking at the bigger picture and how things impact and implement. But But this is a perfect example of, does this particular instance impact very many people in the U.S.? No, it really doesn't, because most U.S. arm wrestlers do not go overseas
Right.
Correct.
for whatever reason, and the reason isn't important, but they don't go. But that doesn't mean that this isn't a big deal in the rest of the world. And if we want some of these best people in the world to come to the U.S., where the people that can't afford to go overseas, don't have the ability to get there, don't have the desire to leave the country, have a shot at, hitting the table with a Toms and seeing what that type of elite level arm wrestler feels like, we've got to have a welcoming environment for them here, which means we follow the world rules. I don't understand the argument. I don't understand the pushback. It seems like a really simple deal to me. I think you guys all handled it as well as you possibly could have, given the circumstance that you got put in. And I told Tim before this, I would tune out the noise and focus on what you're doing, because all three of you guys are doing really good things in the sport. Keep it up, please. So that's my little soapbox. And I told Tim before this, we've got company over tonight, so I can't be on very long. But
No, I appreciate you coming on and helping us out.
Yeah, appreciate
if
it.
anything popped up in the chat, Larray, that you want me to hit on, or anything, I
Yeah.
can quick. But
Yeah, there's a couple comments. We got one that says something about a signatory underwater. It doesn't apply to smaller private promotions. It's a rule for leagues under WAF. I don't know.
That's not what it's
that may
about.
technically be true,
Mm.
but it still will prevent international athletes from coming to your event if you're having banned athletes there.
Right.
Correct.
There is a ripple effect.
I agree with that. And I mean,
And I really don't want that ripple to happen. I want the best to compete at all of our events. And I don't want to see, just because we let one, or two do it, if other promotions are doing it, shame on them. I can't help that. But
I got
here, we're not going to allow it to happen.
another one. This one says that they went to WADA's page and it says that they can actually compete in untested events during their suspension. I don't think that's true, but I don't.
I know that's not an accepted action within the arm wrestling community.
I got you.
I can't tell you if that's a specific WADA rule or if that's what all of the national presidents and boards around the world in arm wrestling came together and agreed with. I don't know. I know it's the accepted thing in our sport, which would have been agreed to by all the country's representatives when it was agreed to.
Yeah. And then there's some people talking about other leagues, like they said Arson competed at UAL in 2024. I have no idea about the other leagues. That's kind of them. I don't know.
And I would be willing to bet that if he did, they didn't know he was suspended.
Right.
Well, see, that's something that I do have an issue with, is trying to, if you don't know that they're suspended, you find out and you go to look. It is so hard to find. They need to make it easier for people to find said suspended list, so you can make sure that you don't overstep or go into this.
No. Right.
This area.
It's really not been an issue in the US because we have very, very few athletes go to any of the events that get tested. And in the last half dozen years, I only know of 2 athletes that have tested hot. One that's current, that is handling it exactly as a professional, like he should be, and the other one did too, and that suspension is over and he's back to competition. And in the US, I think having that list out gets a little trickier because there's all the ancillary judgment that goes on with a steroid use in the US, and that's not a legal substance, and people have jobs. And so I think there's probably some level of privacy there that needs to happen versus blasting out everywhere. But there should be, realistically, the promoter should not have to go out and search every name to know whether or not somebody's banned. If a banned athlete's contacted and said, hey, do you want to pull in this event? They should say, hey, I can't make the event. I've got personal reasons, or I'm suspended, not banned, sorry, suspended. It's really, the first line of defense is really on the athlete to do the right thing.
Correct.
I don't, now, secondarily, if it's brought to a promoter's attention that that's a suspended athlete, they should behave, in my opinion, exactly how you guys have. Again, good job, kudos. You know, it would have been great if you'd have known the day before instead of the day after.
Yeah.
But you know, you can't put that horse back in the barn, so you move on, you do the best you can, and you tune out the noise from the people that are barking the loudest, because the people that are barking the loudest are never going to go to a WAF event anyway.
Right.
And it doesn't pertain to them anyhow.
Correct.
It's kind of where I'm confused at. Like, you know, it seems like a lot of people have opinions that, and I'm not downing anybody, but like, there are different playing fields here, right? You know, and I don't know. It's very confusing. We have one comment that says, what was the threat from WADA or other organizations? I guess it technically could be both, right?
So it came down, it was the federation's president of that country, where I had those people at my event say, we will no longer be able to come back if you support banned athletes. Again, no, WAF isn't calling us, WADA's not calling us, IFA's not calling us, but I'm sure one of them will get a hold of us eventually. But
No, I
it's
actually did talk to someone on WAF, and they clarified it pretty clear. If an athlete pulls at one event, then they know that athlete is banned. They will ban all those events from that promoter, and they will ban. It would be banned. It wouldn't be suspended. All the pullers who go to that said event,
right.
you know, and that was made clear. I have the message.
Yeah.
I'd be glad to show it. You know.
Yeah.
So
people,
see there,
people gotta,
there again, we're getting into an area that, you know, definitions and verbiage matters.
Yeah.
Tim didn't get a threat from anyone.
Right.
Nobody threatened anybody.
No.
Tim was made aware of the situation
Yeah.
and how those countries will handle that situation moving forward, which isn't a threat. It's information.
Right.
Correct.
Nobody
And
threatened anybody. And
maybe
we
that's all
have
it
the freedom here. Robbie right now can say, fuck you guys. You can't tell me where I'm going to pull. I'm going to go to this event tomorrow. And he has that ability.
Yeah.
Athletes in other countries do not have that choice all the time, guys. It
Correct.
doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
In most of the European countries, there is one governing body for arm wrestling. There is not a dozen promoters. And if you want to put on an event and you don't get the blessing from the mother organization in that country, guess what? Nobody comes to your event. It's a pretty simple world over there.
Yep.
So, you know, you've got to have a little bit of an international understanding of how this works in other countries to understand that if the Latvian Arm Wrestling Association tells the Latvians, you guys cannot compete at Arizona State moving forward, they're not coming back.
Correct.
Period. And they're not going to stand up to their organization and tell them, kiss my ass, because then they're done arm wrestling.
Yep.
It's not the way it works. You
And
know,
it- and that-
whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, you know, we've got some choices when it comes to competing in this country that other countries simply don't have. For the most part, I want to say I think it's a good thing. In some areas, I'm not so sure that one central governing organization that runs everything wouldn't be a lot better. I think it was Robbie that posted today, and if it wasn't Robbie, I apologize. But you know, as an organization group in this country, we can't even agree on one set of freaking rules, for Christ's sake.
Exactly.
So yeah, but with that, guys, my company is here, so I'm going to
Thank
jump
you.
off and good luck.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
So just to touch on that again, I think a lot of people who are being the most critique about all this thing, if that's the right word, is, you know, you may pull at events that don't have high caliber international guys, and you may not
Shut
have
up.
to
Lay down.
deal with this before, right? And
Sorry, guys.
it's not that it's a bad thing. It's just that we're trying to bring higher level competition to get the U.S. guys more noticeable to be able to do bigger and better things in their life. That maybe they want to go pull worlds and don't know where their level's at. Maybe they want to go to Europeans or IFA or WAF or King of the Table or wherever, East versus West, right? Whatever the case is,
Right,
this is
right.
an opportunity for people to test the waters. And that's why we have to deal with bigger things that are above us and above the U.S. That it's just rules, guys. It's just rules. That's all it is. We don't
So
have
you,
to
I
agree
mean,
with them. We don't have to like them. But we as promoters, and I don't want to speak for you, Lorraine, but we've talked like we choose to just follow the rules because of what we want to do with our promotions.
yes,
And that doesn't mean you have to do it with your promotion, but if you choose to do something outside of these rules, you might lose a lot of people that can come to your event because they want to
yep,
go do these things. That's
yeah,
all
right.
we're trying to say here. It has nothing to do with IFA, WAF, banning people. Like, people need to get that out of their head. It's just a suspended athlete who choose to go to that event. Now, he could have chose to never go to that event, and this would have never happened because he
yeah,
may
Right.
have never
But
got
he could have
tested.
also, whenever we sent him the invite, said, no, I'm suspended.
Right.
That should have been done first and foremost on the whole
Personal
thing.
accountability.
He should have admitted that he was
Yeah.
suspended and just declined.
Correct.
well,
But he chose to do so and put everybody else in the hot seat, and we're taking the heat for it.
Yeah.
well, I'll say this, and Tim, you can back this. I was pretty kind of, I wouldn't say complete opposite, but I told you, what did I tell you yesterday? At first, I was like, you know what, like screw it, but then
I was
like,
gonna say, you want me to say what you said?
right. Well, and then I sat down and Robbie talks to me and Bob Brown calls me and Luke calls me and you call me again. And, it would be dumb. It would be basically self-suicide for anyone who wants to have any foreign athlete to come over and compete in your tournament. And I do. Like my December event, Giannis is supposed to come. Tom's is coming.
Or
Tom
not even
Holland's coming.
foreign, just even high level guys here.
Exactly. And
Hell, even low, even
didn't
low level guys.
if I didn't
It's
abide
everybody.
by that, I would risk losing, that. And it isn't about money. It isn't about that. It's high level competition, and that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Let's see
That
what.
that's what I want to see. I want to see the best compete,
Right.
and to do so, you have to follow certain criteria. If not, it's not worth it. If
Well,
you can't follow the rule set, then just hang up the damn towel, because you might as well just go away, because you're not going to have the elite pullers at your event. You're
what do
not
you
going
think,
to have the
Robbie?
Tom Hollands
Good, Robbie.
or the Robbie Russells, for that matter.
I don't have a problem with a lot of what people are saying, except for the fact that they're acting like this is the Wild West, where you just do whatever you want and come and go and pull whenever and wherever, and there's no rules. Like, at some point, we got to come together and be in an alignment to grow.
Mhm.
And nobody, well, I'm going to say nobody, but a lot of people don't understand that. They just want to do as they please. We can't do that if this is going to become something big and an actual sport. And
Right.
that is what bugs me the most, is because everybody's like, well, won't you just do whatever? Just screw those guys. It don't work that way. Like,
Right.
we got to be under the same rule set, the same weight classes, and all these things to finally become big. We're not a sport over here. They are there. And there's a reason why. They
Yep.
got their shit together and we don't. For
Yeah.
this reason, because everybody wants to do their own thing, their own rules, and however they want to do it. We can't
Yeah.
agree on one single thing.
So we got a
No,
comment. Yeah, I think this is Jamie. I believe
it is.
could be, but I think it's Jamie. He says, "Is he suspended from all arm wrestling? If so, how can that really be enforced? What if a $1 billion company starts tomorrow and pays everyone's salary, then says F the ban? What then? I
But
mean,
again, perfect example. Go ahead and do it.
yeah,
Just know that this is the problem. That okay, that's what you just said. He can do that. He could go pull at any event that they will let him pull. But just know there is side effects to that for other people who want to do something. That promoter could get banned. People going to that event could get banned. Those are just the side effects of what can happen. It's again, there's no he can go do whatever he wants and not follow the rules of where that ban or that suspension came from. but there's side
Yeah.
effects to everybody else that condone to that.
Yes.
It's like robbing a bank. If I go rob a bank and you're driving the car, you're getting in trouble. It's the same thing, guys.
Yeah.
It's
I
no
think
different.
I,
And this is where
I
the
think it's
problem is.
lost in
The problem is people in America just don't give a shit. And if you
right.
don't give a shit, then don't give a shit. But we don't. You can't justify not giving a shit to people who give a shit.
Right. Right.
That's all there is
Yeah,
to it.
I think it's lost in translation between a promoter and, the casual puller. And I don't mean any disrespect by that to anybody in the comments. I'm not calling anyone. That's just
I
speaking.
do.
Well, when you talk to the casual puller, it doesn't matter to them, and it doesn't affect them at all. But as a promoter like yourself, Tim, and like us, who are putting high level events on, who want more than just the people that are over here, and we want the high level people that are over here, like you said, we as promoters have to think about all these things. And I understand that the pullers don't. They don't have to think. They can just show up and go wherever they want. But we do. And if that makes us the bad guys, I'm sorry, but that is what it is,
Yeah, it's not like we went out of spite and said, "Oh, it was an IFA guy and we're a WAF affiliated, so we're gonna strip him." Like that's not the case, guys.
Nothing to
We're
do
not
with it.
choosing any sides here. We're just following a rule that is affected worldwide
Yeah.
and that can affect us from high level events that we like to put on.
I
That's all it is,
That
guys.
also both organizations, since we're talking about WAF and IFA, both organizations run under the same drug testing
yeah.
corporation, which is the one that we are talking about now, WADA.
Yeah.
They both use them, and they both go by that rule set.
Well, another thing that I've seen today is, oh, well, people are just mad because they can't beat him because he's juiced up. Also, what about all the other people that are juiced up? Again, it is
Not about
nothing to
that
do with
either.
it. It has nothing to do with that. No one cares that he's juiced up and got second place. Not one puller was upset in that round robin because they lost Arson. That's not it. It becomes when it affects future events for us. That's what it is. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see. Jamie said he's just trying to see the need for the employment factor. Example, people wanted to start a union. How? Arm wrestling isn't a needed job like trucking. So answering to those with banning, what do you want to elaborate on that, Tim?
No.
I don't either. That was.
I mean,
It's tough.
it's just okay. Like I'll just be a little bit selfish here. Let's turn the tables here. For me, I don't care what anybody says. I'm following the rules because I like to have international guys at my event. No matter what anybody tells me, I'm going to have 10 more international guys at my next event, and I'm going to keep having international guys at my event. So for Arm Sports Entertainment, I'm choosing to follow the rules. Everybody in the world, do what you want to do. But just know if you come to my event, you're never going to see another band athlete. That's all I got to say about the situation.
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and just ride Tim's coattails there a little bit, and I'm just going to let everybody know what he said goes for Beast Mode as well. And you know, and it's just the way it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not.
Nope.
And I'm not going to.
And today's post by you guys, I'll speak for both of us. It was just to let everybody know the rules that we choose to follow. We don't need your approval. We don't need you to agree with it. We don't need you to disagree with it. Because at the end of the day, it's our promotion, and this is what we feel best for our promotions going forward. And this is what we're going to do. And we just did the common courtesy to let you know, so there wasn't a bunch of rumors why he may be taken off of my results list or your guys'
My round
results
robins,
list or
yes.
Aries or whatever the case may be. This is why. So we're just giving you the common courtesy.
Yeah, I mean,
Could have said it better.
I don't know what else to say, guys.
That's pretty much it, man. I mean, I don't think we need to really even go any further. I think after today, after this post, I'm not really going to talk about it on Facebook or anything. I'm going to move forward. You have events, I have events. That's where we need to put our focus. Everyone just needs to respect it. It is what it is. We don't have hardly any freaking rules. I mean, Tim, I've not heard you get up in front of your tournament and say, oh, guys, this is the rules, blah, blah, blah. You got to do this, 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 and this. You got to jump through this hoop. No, we don't really have rules. We have one rule. Don't be on the damn ban list, and that's it. We don't care.
And it's a suspension list, not a ban list.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I keep mixing it up. But you know what I'm talking about. And it's just, that's it. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Before we go, Aussie Arm Wrestler
Robbie,
says,
do you have it? Do you have
Brady,
anything else to add to this, Robbie?
No, I mean, you guys pretty well covered the way that I feel, and I've been pretty vocal on social media today. Like I've not held back on anything. Probably should have.
Well,
some,
we've all been very vocal, so I mean, it's they're just not grasping.
I don't think I could add anything to it.
Yeah, I just feel that, we all kind of, we made our posts. We tried to enlighten many different people who had a bunch of questions. I think by us four coming on here should be able to answer all those questions going forward.
Correct.
The thought of banning people, I don't like, but the fact is, there is a system out there that we all should follow. Like whether people do steroids or whatever, that's irrelevant. I don't care about that. I mean, who gives a shit? I don't care who does what, whenever, if I compete against them. But the thing is, if we go to an event and we know it's tested and we fail, just like anything we do in life, if there's rules in place and we break those, there's consequences to those actions. So who are we to say that we shouldn't follow those?
Yeah.
We go to jail and we get put in the newspaper. Everybody else is going to shun us and, hold what we did against us. So why should we not do that to him? Why should we not hold him to the same standard that everybody else would do for us?
Yep.
That's the way that I look at it. And that's just how I see it. Like, do I think it's exactly right? No, but at the same time, I'm not the one that went over there and failed on a tested event.
Yeah.
He chose to go to that tested event. He knew that there was a possibility, so there it was.
What he tested for, I think sucks. Like, gets busted for Lasix, whatever. But it is what it is. It's on the ban list. It doesn't matter what it is. It's on the ban list.
That's true. We don't
Pretty
have to
much.
agree.
Let's see what.
We don't have to agree with what he got suspended for, anyways. But again, it's on the list. It's the rules.
Yep.
And it's a rule.
But I mean, look, this is all, this is what we think's best. Again, what Tim said. I mean, look, I feel like when the foreigners come over here, it only makes us better. So why wouldn't we want that? And you might call us selfish. You might call us, oh, y'all are cowering down. But, dude, we're doing what's best for what we think is best for arm wrestling, pretty much. And
I think it's better for the sport because, it needs structure, and that's the only structure we got right now. So let's just keep a hold of it.
Yep. All right, y'all got anything else? Y'all want to call it a night? I don't know if there's any other comment. There's a bunch of people thanking us. Well, I do appreciate, everybody who does understand this. I appreciate everyone who don't. Everybody's comments I read. It might drive me insane, but I do try to take everyone's account, But this is just what it is, guys, and y'all have to understand. And we do have one question. It says, what happens to the promotion that accidentally let someone banned compete? As far as I know,
we all got a warning is what we got. That's what happened. We got a warning for us not understanding or knowing that he was on a suspension.
Yeah.
So it was a warning for all of us. That's why there will never be another suspended person at any of our events ever again. And we will make sure of that.
Yeah, we already elaborated on that, Jamie. Basically, countries can prevent their pullers from coming over here because they are affiliated with other, organizations. That's
we could get suspended from going to our nationals and our worlds.
Yep.
Correct.
So again, doesn't affect everybody, but it does affect us. So, All right, guys. I believe that clears it up. Again, after this, I ain't talking about it.
I'm done with it. I think it just needs to be left alone and done.
Yeah. I mean, go serve your ban arson, and then we'll welcome you right back, right? But for now, you're shelved, buddy. I'm sorry.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
All right, see y'all.